ever let folks kill my joy and kill my spirit. See, what Bishop said is true. You got to be saved twice. You got to let the Lord save you from sin, and then you got to let the Lord save you from folk, because you got a whole lot of folk that'll kill your spirit in church if you let them kill your spirit. The glory of the Lord is in this place, and all they do is looking buck-eyed. Can't raise their hand because they don't know what it feels like to receive the joy of the Lord. Sitting there disgusted and busted and everything else. And all you got to do is think of the goodness of Jesus and what the Lord have done for you and how he brought you out. And everything you have, God gave it to you. And if you start really putting things in the proper perspective, and remember, it's not you. You're not so great. You're not so mighty. But it is of the goodness of the Lord. It is of the mercies of the Lord that we are not consumed. His compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. And when you put things in proper perspective, you know that even though the prophet may die, but the prophecy of his word continues to live. And even though Jezebel cut off the prophets, killed the prophets, had them massacred, the word of the Lord would later on come through Paul and say, be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that, T-H-A-T, that shall he also reap. So when you spew out venom, venom's gonna come back and find you. When you criticize everything else, somebody gonna criticize you. When you try to tear other folks down, somebody gonna tear you down. When you lie to get ahead, whatever you dish out, it's coming back to you. And before you die, it's going to smack you upside your head. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Tell your neighbor, you better be careful who you run with. So the time came for Jezebel herself to reap what she sowed. She had to reap how she mistreated the prophet. She had to reap how she mistreated the man of God. And Jehu happened to show up. And when he saw Jezebel, he asked, is there anybody here on my side? And two eunuchs stood up. And the eunuch said, we're with you, Jehu. He said, take this wicked woman and throw her out of the window. And they threw her out of the window, and her body bounced up against the wall. And when she got to the bottom of the ground, the horses trampled over her body. And because she was a dog, the dogs ate up her flesh. Look at somebody say, it's coming back around. Isaiah's prophecy is the greatest and largest prophecy of them all. His book gives deep insight and spiritual sensitivity to the things of God. He is the son of Amos. He lives and he ministered in Jerusalem. He has access to the courts of kings. He prophesied during the reign of 4 kings of Judah: Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. He has special privileges, but doesn't act like he's special. He's anointed, but not pushy. He has favor, but he doesn't flaunt it. He's a man of God, but he don't have to pass out any cards that say, Isaiah, man of God, will preach, call this number. He knows who he is. He's aware of the moral corruption of the nation. And he sees himself, and I told you I'm cutting and pasting. He sees himself that God is tired of those who honor him with their lips, but their hearts are far from him. Isaiah has a servant's heart. He confesses that there is a need for a new awakening, because sometimes people forget who brought them where they are. Sometimes people forget who brought them to the greener pastures. Sometimes people forget that it's God that gave you your personal bailout. Sometimes folks forget that God reached around and grabbed you when nobody else would grab you. Sometimes people forget that they had nailed you to the cross and did everything they could to scandalize you and destroy you. But God, who is rich in mercy, he reached down and picked you up. Now you are not the same man you used to be. You are not the same woman you used to be. You used to would not even darken the doorstep of a church. You used to drive by and mock and say, I'll never go in there. You used to say, I don't believe in all this God stuff and all this Jesus stuff. But one day you came to the meeting yourself. One day your heart wasn't right. One day while sitting in the presence of God, the Spirit of the Lord pricked your heart. And you found out that the people of God wasn't just putting on. We wasn't just going through calisthenics. We wasn't just trying to be seen. But the God of our salvation, that looks beyond our faults and sees our every need, he came and met me at the point of giving up. I was about to give up, but the preacher said, come just like you are. Bring all of your problems. Bring all of your struggles. Bring all of your headaches. Bring all of your burdens. Cast all of your cares upon me, for I care for you. So Isaiah is aware that the nation was in trouble. And at some point in the temple, whether it was a public worship ceremony or whether he had carved some time out for private devotion, but somewhere while he was in the temple, where did I say he was at? He was in the temple. Where are you at now? In the temple. Somewhere when he was in the temple. Oh, it didn't say temple of deliverance, but if he was to get delivered, he had to be in the temple. While he was in the temple. Oh, I'm excited to be in the temple. Woo. When I used to come down here, when my uncle used to call me to come and preach as the visiting minister, and I preached here throughout the whole year, and you all know that I was excited to be in the temple. But now, since I'm resident agent, since I'm domiciled here now, since this is where I hang out at, I love being in the temple, because I know in the temple, in his presence, is fullness of joy. And while he's there, oh Lord, while he's there in the temple, something happened unusual. The Bible did not give the month, it did not give the date. It simply says in the year that King Uzziah died, he said, I saw also the Lord. Not only did I see the king die, but I also saw the Lord. He says, I had a life-changing experience. You see that even when death comes, even when God looks like takes a loved one from our midst, he said, in the year that King Uzziah died, I also saw the Lord, that even in death, we still got to see Jesus. That even through tear-stained eyes, we still have to see the Lord. That even through heartache and even through disappointment, we still have to see Jesus.